In this new series, I'll be reading an eclectic collection of poetry. The only theme linking the poems I've chosen to read is that I enjoy them. As it's winter for us at the moment and frequently wet, we've decided to bring the filming indoors, certainly for the first few videos anyway. Once the weather improves, we may well head back outdoors. This week I'm reading The Butterfly's Ball and the Grasshopper's Feast by William Roscoe. I'm a big fan of fantasy writing, so I love the fantasy style of this poem, and also that it isn't trying to teach us something, it's just good fun. According to the British Library website, this poem's an early example of fantasy writing for children, and was written by Roscoe for one of his young sons, Robert, who is named in the poem. Which is another reason that this poem appeals to me. How thrilled must his son have been to hear his own name in a poem written by his father. I've put a link to the British Library website in the description below, in case you want to look it up for yourself. While reading this poem, I enjoyed looking at the illustrations that appeared in the original publication that you can find on Project Gutenberg. I've included a link in the description below if you'd like to take a look. Anyway, on with the poem. Come take up your hats, and away let us haste to the butterfly's ball and the grasshopper's feast. The trumpeter Gadfly has summoned the crew, and the revels are now only waiting for you. So said little Robert, and pacing along, his merry companions came forth in a throng. And on the smooth grass by the side of a wood, beneath a broad oak that for ages had stood, saw the children of earth and the tenants of air for an evening's amusement together repair. And there came the beetle, so blind and so black, who carried the emmet, his friend, on his back. And there was the gnat and the dragonfly too, with all their relations green, orange and blue. And there came the moth with his plumage of down, and the hornet in jacket of yellow and brown, who with him the wasp his companion did bring, but they promised that evening to lay by their sting. And the sly little dormouse crept out of his hole, and brought to the feast his blind brother the mole. And the snail, with his horns peeping out of his shell, came from a great distance, the length of an ell. A mushroom their table, and on it was laid a water-dock leaf, which a tablecloth made. The viands were various to each of their taste, and the bee brought her honey to crown the repast. Then close on his haunches, so solemn and wise, the frog from a corner looked up to the skies, and the squirrel, well pleased such diversions to see, mounted high overhead and looked down from a tree. Then out came the spider with finger so fine to shew his dexterity on the tight line. From one branch to another his cobwebs he slung, then quick as an arrow he darted along. But just in the middle, oh shocking to tell, from his rope in an instant poor Harlequin fell. Yet he touched not the ground, but with talons outspread, hung suspended in air at the end of a thread. Then the grasshopper came with a jerk and a spring. Very long was his leg, though but short was his wing. He took but 3 leaps and was soon out of sight, then chirped his own praises the rest of the night. With step so majestic the snail did advance, and promised the gazers a minuet to dance. But they all laughed so loud that he pulled in his head, and went in his own little chamber to bed. Then, as the evening gave way to the shadows of night, their watchman, the glowworm, came out with a light. Then home let us hasten while yet we can see, for no watchman is waiting for you and for me. So said little Robert, and pacing along, his merry companions returned in a throng. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed both the poem and the video. If you have any suggestions for poems or classic books you would like to hear read on this channel, please drop a note in the comments below. Episodes are uploaded every Sunday. Please do subscribe to make sure you don't miss them.